Hey, YouTube, what's up? I am Charmaine Johnson Fuller, the life strategist with the Charm Life. Today, because of Facebook's being in their feelings, I am trying something different. I am live streaming on YouTube versus being on Facebook. Yay to change. If you've never seen any of my videos before, I primarily serve entrepreneurial moms with special needs kids of color and help them to create the time, energy, and focus that they want to create in their life. And I am going to start doing a Dear Charmaine segment. I get DMs and inboxes and emails with various questions from mamas just like you that want to know how maybe I've handled situations or how I've coached my clients through handling situations. And I wanted to definitely share that with everyone. The answers that I may share with them via inbox, I'm going to start sharing them now live. So that will be the response whenever you send me a question, is that will be answered here live. And I've gotten this question a couple of times. And I decided to do it today on my inaugural YouTube live goings on. So here is the question. Give me just a hot buttered second. So here's the question. Dear Charmaine, I love the info you share. It's been so helpful. I remember you said you have a son with ADHD. Do you guys struggle with keeping things clean? Yes, God, we struggle with keeping things clean. I feel like I'm in deep cleaning. I am deep cleaning my son's room daily. As soon as I get it clean, in less than 24 hours, it's a mess again. We have tried schedules, organizers, and yelling. Nothing seems to help. Help me. I am getting tired of repeating myself. Thanks, Kate. All right, Kate. So here we go. Having an extremely creative and imaginative child is definitely a blessing, but oftentimes it can feel like the largest challenge in the world. I tend to say that kids that definitely have, ADHD, they're on the spectrum, that they are definitely the highest forms of imagination. They can see things that, we often can't see. They're able to view the world from a space of just wonderment and joy and all that great stuff. And those are great qualities to have. The issue that I know I have, and that other moms that have kids with ADHD, is keeping things clean. And we were in the same situation that you were in a few years ago, where my son's room, like it would be like one day, and sometimes if we're not on our schedule, he'll go revert right back to this, where it's just like innate in him to have things messy and kind of out of control. So there are some things that we set up that reduce the amount of me having to repeat myself because the visual reminders are there. One of the things that I always suggest that ADHD parents do, if your child is under the age of, I would say, 13, 14 years old, pictures are fabulous. They're visual. So their brains can pick up and read pictures. The human brain, period, can pick up and read pictures quicker than it can read written words. So one of the first things I would have you do is start looking for pictures to signify what you want him to do in his room, and have him create a cleaning schedule. Now, this works when you involve them in creating the cleaning schedule. What days he feels like he's going to be the best at cleaning at, what supports he thinks he needs. Really having these conversations, especially, you didn't tell me how old he is. So I'm just going to assume that he's my son's age, which is around 10. Really involving him in the process. You see, when you have kids that, hey, to people that are popping in, when you have kids that think differently, oftentimes we don't include them in the process. we go forth and we create these schedules because we believe we know what's best, and then we wonder why they're not invested in this like we are. I have found that I do less repetition when he is the one that has been the major factor in creating whatever this cleaning schedule is. And he has a cleaning schedule daily. My son has to clean his room daily because he's a creative. And within 10 hours, because he's homeschooled, within 10 hours, I think that's a lot, but you get what I'm saying. His room can go from spotless to paper being everywhere, staples, Legos, because he's not only creating with Lego, but he's also making paper cities. He's also doing something on the computer. He's got markers and he's doing something else. He's like got multiple things going on all at one time. I don't know how this kid does it, but God, his brain is awesome. Anywho, he has a morning cleaning schedule that he's created, and he has a before bed cleaning schedule that he has created. And there are certain things on this checklist, and there are pictures there. Gosh, I wish I had brought the stuff up. But if you go on my Facebook page, which should now be back up, on the Charm Life, I've shown how I've like created their like back to school schedules and everything like that. But on that morning schedule, on that PM schedule, there's cleaning time. There's, he knows to clean his room and the things that he needs to do to clean his room. And I had him go through on that cleaning schedule and tell me what did he think needed to be done in his room. You've got to include them in this process. If you come up with the schedule, they are less invested. And so what's going to happen is it's going to feel like to them and to you that this is just something they've got to do. And it really makes it even less fun, and they're even less engaged in the process. I mean, not too many people are invested in the process of cleaning, but when you feel like you have some empowered control over how things are done and what order they're done in, kids tend to be a lot more invested when they feel like they have some sort of power over what can be done. He knows the room has to be clean, but the order that he does things in, the time that he does it, is completely on his schedule and up to him. But he knows it has to be done 2 times a day. The second thing that I did is we purchased organizers. We also allowed him to pick out the organizers. I discovered the expensive and the difficult way that if I just went on Target and found the things that I thought were really, really cute and would really fit, did not work because his brain works differently than mine. And so when we went into Target and we looked at things, I said, well, which should your Legos go in? What should this go in? Trust me, what he picked out was completely different than what I would have picked out for his room, because that would have worked for me and not for him. And sometimes as moms, I mean, we do what we know, and we just want our kids to have things a little bit easier because we see them struggling. But when he picked out the organizers, he knew these were for his Legos. These are his Lego organizers. When I picked them out, when I picked out the organizers that I thought were cool, now I use them for something else because they just weren't getting used at all. He had pens in them. He was using it as a trash can. He was using it as a trash can and not as like his Lego holder. In his mind, it was a different purpose. In my mind, it should have held Legos. In his mind, this one particular container that I got to put Lego in was for, I think he had like random socks or something in there. Like, I swear. And I'm like, dude, how come the Legos aren't in there? He's like, oh, this is for Lego. Okay. But when I let him pick out his organizers, I have a lot less trouble with him putting things away in there because these are things that he has chosen. The third thing that we did is timers, alarms, calendars. So he has days where he has a big calendar in his room. We have lots of visuals. We have so many visuals. I have to take a picture of his room sometime this week and just show you the amount of visuals that we have. And you might go, oh my God, that's too much. But each thing serves its purpose. And so he knows that, he has a whiteboard. He can doodle on it, but sometimes it'll have like various things that, might be necessary for that week. He has a calendar. It has his laundry day circled. It has his, like any assignments or anything for his business that might be on there that might be due. And, I think that's pretty, and any type of family events that we have going on. So he's really aware of that. The alarms are to help him to catch focus back during the day. I use these for myself because I'm also diagnosed ADHD. So I kind of, it's like you would think I would get him more, but if you've met one person with ADHD, you have met one person with ADHD. The same goes with autism and any other special need. Setting timers. He has those little green timers with that look like little clocks. He has those. We have those around the house. We have the digital ones because it's really easy for him to start a task and get distracted. It's very easy for him to start a task and to get distracted and end up someplace else. So having a timer where he knows that, I have a certain amount of time that is allotted to clean my room. Because before we got timers for cleaning his room, what would happen is he would find things that he had forgotten about. And so what would happen would be that he would start off cleaning his room. He would be doing great. And the next thing you know, you hear pew, 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 pew. And he's like found some paper thing that he built and he's like going all around the house with it. It's hilarious to watch. So he has timer. He has a timer and he actually is a lot more efficient when he has that timer. He didn't like it at first. He was like, oh, I don't need a timer. Not only do we have that, but we cut off as many distractions as possible when he's cleaning his room. Because I'm sure you know, Kate, that if there's like TV on, if there's other stimuli on that can at any point stop them from what they're focused on, then you might as well kiss the clean room goodbye because they're not going to do it. But having that clarity, sitting down with your son and asking him what his vision for his room is. My son gets that his room gets messy really quick now. He gets that it gets messy really quick and he still needs support. But I don't have to repeat myself as often because he has the reminders, because he has the schedules. And so I do things like ask, did you finish your planner? Did you finish your schedule today? Did everything get done? Did you do your morning routine? Did all of that get done? I'm able to ask those questions and he's able to check them off. That was something that that was actually a tool that we got from his behavioral therapist and having the checklist and giving him the ability to check things off. So, that makes everybody feel good when you're able to check something off. So, having those pieces there and the ability for him to be able to have some sort of command over his schedule. Like, you got to clean the room, but at least you can come up with how often it's with, well, he really couldn't. Every day has to be his thing. It's probably going to have to be every day. And what he's discovered that when he does it every day, what he's discovered when I clean my room every day, then I get to have fun on the weekends because now I'm not spending all day Saturday cleaning my room. Like after about a month of like your son, like continuously keeping things clean, putting things back, he's going to discover that, oh my gosh, I have more time. Mom's not yelling. I'm not stressed out or anxious. In the beginning, you have to remember this. All moms, you have to remember this when you are starting your child out on a new routine, system, task, whatever. At least 90 days before of consistent. So if you're consistent for 90 days and keeping up and supporting them and making sure things are in alignment so that they can do what they need to do, within 90 days, you should be able to step pretty much all the way back. But life gets busy. So, sometimes we don't make it a full 90 days and staying consistent and persistent in helping them out. So sometimes it takes a little bit longer. I want you to understand that right there, because it's going to take off the expectation that I give him this list and he should be able to get it in a weekend. That's not going to happen. If you have that expectation, it's going to frustrate you and he's going to shut down. This has to be a consistent and persistent process. You have to stay on top of it. You have to have reminders. I have to put reminders for myself to go and check in with him, because kids are slick. Like, if I'm not going to say nothing about his room, he's not going to say nothing about his room. And I think that right there is typical kid. If mama ain't going to say nothing, then I'm not going to say nothing. And I'm just going to go to bed and let that be that. But you have to also check in. Like, once they get the general process down, like right now I'm in the check-in phase and making sure that things are put back and there's order in his space. And he's even said, I think so much better when my room is clean. I don't feel as cramped when my room is clean. But it's a challenge for him to keep it clean. I want you to understand that 9 times out of 10, your son's challenge with keeping his room clean has nothing to do with defiance, most likely. I'm just generalizing. Or with him not understanding what it is that you're asking of him or what it is that he needs to do. It's just that if you've never had ADHD, let me break it down to you. When we do things, our heartfelt intention is to put it back. The fear is that if I put it back, then I'm going to need it again. And so I might as well keep it out. Well, then what ends up happening is that the day is over, you've never needed it again, and this item is still out and has not been put back. Or I'm going, one of the things that I drove my husband nuts with is that I would leave my shoes out. And it's like, well, I'm going back out tomorrow. My mode of thought is like, I'm going back out tomorrow. So like, why would I put my shoes like in the 2 inches over into this beautiful cubby that he built for me so my shoes could stop being on the steps. I'm like, well, I'm going back out tomorrow morning, so I'm just going to leave them out. That is their train of thought. Is that I just might as well, because I'm going to use it again anyway. Like, they have to be able to connect that. Well, the reason they have to have a why behind their putting these things back. Well, I'm putting my shoes away so nobody will trip down the stairs. I'm like, this is why my husband built the cubby, so that all the shoes are off the stairs. It's a clear path. I'm putting my shoes away because it makes things look neater. It makes me feel less anxious to see clutter. And again, that's the funniest thing with people that have ADHD. Clutter does not make us, it actually gives us anxiety. But for some reason, how our brain works is that the clutter, I can't, because I'm working on all of these things at once. So I have to have all of these different pieces here, because if I move something when I'm ready to work on it and it's not there, then it's going to take me longer to get it. So you have to kind of get that is his brain's weird processing, and work with it and not against it, because trust me, that force is very strong. So making sure that he is included in this process, that's going to be a huge thing, is making sure that your son is included in this process, not just telling him what to do, because with kids in general, you can tell them what to do and they're going to do it for only so long, and they're going to wait until you forget, and then they're just going to stop doing it. And you're like, wait a minute, what happened? Whereas if they have some sort of connect to it, it will give it more staying power. But you've got to be consistent. You're going to have to, at least for the first 30 to 60 days, be that constant reminder, especially if it's not something they're doing every day. If it's something like dishes, but you're talking about his room, if you're not having him clean it every day, let's say that you're having him clean it every other day, or just on the weekends you're having him clean his room, which I would highly not recommend. If you're having a problem with room, I would highly not recommend you having him wait to the weekend. That is anxiety for you, and that is high anxiety for him. And again, the weird thing about ADHD is that clutter gives us anxiety, yet we kind of reside in it because we get overwhelmed and we don't know where to start to clear off this clutter. And so I often find myself, when working with my son, I am his piece of clarity. Okay, what's next? Okay, what's next? I'm helping him to stay on track, because he'll look at all the stuff and he'll, honest to God, like you can see it, he does not know where to start. And that could be another thing with your son. He just might not know where to start because he's created all of these wonderful stuff around him. And the thought of having to put it all back is overwhelming. So just be mindful of that. I would highly recommend you put him on a daily cleaning schedule. Even if it's for the first week, every night you put your Legos away. Like if you still want to have major cleaning on the weekend, every night your Legos are put away, or every night all of your whatever it is he's creative with, that be like every night your markers are put back in the container. Every night your drawing paper is put back in the bin. Every night that's what happens. Having that consistency and just being his point of focus. Because at first he was like, Mom, get out of my room. And it's like, no, you need me. Dude, you need me in here. Because if I leave, your brain is gonna go someplace else when it sees this drawing that you're putting away. And it's like, oh yeah, I was doing this drawing because I was building this city over here with these Legos. Okay, so let me finish this real quick and then I'll put it away. Like that's honestly what he's, I've caught him saying, okay, but let me just finish this really quick. And then, then I'll start putting everything away. So I want you just to show yourself some grace and compassion. Show him a bit of grace and compassion, and create a system. What is that going to look like for you guys? What is his cleaning schedule going to look like? Is it going to be clean everything every day, or clean, just pick up Legos every day and deep clean on the weekend? What type of organizers does he have? Does he even like those organizers? You might have to either find before I was able to buy like the organizers that he was really interested in. We repurpose some things for a minute. And so what can you repurpose? Always try to repurpose first, because organizers ain't cheap. What can you repurpose? And include him in the repurposing process. If there's something that needs to be, painted, glittered, whatever, he wants to do with it, go through that process. Let him be a part of that process and where those organizers go. Not saying he gets to make the final decision, but have that dialogue and discussion with him. Don't make it a dictatorship process, because that's not going to go well for either one of you. Make it a back and forth, and giving him that space to make some decisions and to have a say in where his things go, and what happens to them and all that good stuff. And the third piece, times, alarms, and calendars. Having those calendars, whiteboards are great for kids with ADHD. Whiteboards, checklists are fabulous for kids with ADHD, and even for kids on the spectrum. My daughter is on the spectrum, and checklists are so great for her. That was one of the things for her that helps her to remember, things. It helps with her memory, because we give them to her in things of 3. And most of the times when people give you instructions, they give them to you in sections of 3 or 5. That I've experienced. I don't have no research on that one, but that's just kind of what I've noticed. So, and these are verbal instructions, because I know that, one, you're not going to remember all the flipping steps unless, you're writing something down, but especially when it comes to kids and multiples of 3 or 5. And normally it's 3. And so it gives her a chance to go do those 3 things and come back and check them off or do whatever she needs to do. And it helps her to stay focused as well. It helps to reduce the anxiety. Doing this is going to help to relieve that anxiety and that overwhelm that the both of you are feeling around this room. Trust me, he wants it clean. No matter what he says to you, he wants it clean. He does. It's going to help him feel so much better. He's just overwhelmed. He doesn't know. He can't even figure out where to start out yet. He's so overwhelmed with it. And so our job as moms is to help them to break that down and to help them to create some order around that. And in order for you to help them create order, you have to have order. And if that's something that you're struggling with, because in order for you to be able to go in and create these checklists and create these different things for him to have the support, you have to have order as well, and you have to have clarity. And that was one of my things, is that, whatever it is you are wanting them to do, you have to talk the talk. You got to walk the talk, excuse me. You got to walk it like you talk it. Like Migo say, you got to walk it like you talk it. Because they are really great at noticing incongruencies. And so if you're showing up and your stuff isn't, your room ain't clean, your car not clean, your office is not clean, it kind of leads them to believe that they don't have to show up and be like super clean. So I'm not saying you have to, look like Molly maids came to your house, but at least have some sort of order in your own life. And if that is a challenge for you, then let's definitely talk. You can hop on a strategy session with me, or my Unload Overwhelm workshop. Lord, that's the strategy session. My Get It Done workshop is coming up the 25th through the 29th of this month. And it's a 5-day workshop that's going to help you begin to put all of those pieces together, to begin to create a relief plan around your life, to help you to create the space so that you can show up and be consistent in helping your son to keep his area clean, because now you have clarity, right? Now you have the clarity that you need to get things going. Also remembering that kids are mirrors. So, like I said, being congruent, wherever you are finding disorder in your life. I'm not saying you have to be perfect, but allow him to see where you also have struggles in keeping things clean or keeping things in order, and make it something you do together. Like I do that with him, where it's like, this is something I'm struggling with too, dog. I'm struggling with this too. Mommy is struggling with, mommy, this is a challenge for mommy as well. He would get me with saying struggling. This is a challenge for mommy as well. And so these are some of the things that mommy does to make sure that she doesn't have papers all over the place, or that, every 3 days I have to take stuff and throw it out, because I'll just stockpile papers. So every 3 days I have to throw things out, and every 3 days, I have to put things back in order, and just explaining to him my process. That makes you seem human, and it allows them to be human as well. So Kate and anyone else who is here, I hope this was helpful. And I will catch you all. I don't know when I'll do a live YouTube again. Not sure. But today, was one of those days where I'm doing a live and Facebook isn't acting right. So YouTube is my steady standby. So I don't know if I'll be doing this on Facebook next time, or on YouTube. But I do have more questions that will be going down in the Dear Charmaine, the Ask Charmaine section. And these are just real life tips that, I get in my DMs and in my inboxes and things of that nature. If this is a struggle for you and you don't know how to get it, definitely reach out to me. I'll have that. All the information is already in the description, the video description space. Schedule yourself for a strategy session. Get on the calendar. And I'll be sure to add the information for my Get It Done workshop that's coming up toward the end of the month. So have a fabulous night, mamas. Remember to love yourself, love your family, love your business in that order. And I will catch you all later. Bye.